In this video, we will explore the structure and key elements of writing an IELTS Academic Task 1 report, particularly focusing on line graphs. Understanding how to effectively present data is crucial for achieving a high score in the IELTS writing test. All Task 1 reports typically consist of three main parts: the introduction, the overview, and the details paragraphs. Let's break these parts down to provide a comprehensive view of how to approach your writing. First, we have the introduction. The introduction serves as an initial summary of what the report is about. For a line graph, your primary task is to paraphrase the question provided. This means taking the information given and rewording it in your own language while maintaining the original meaning. For example, if the question states, "The two charts provide data on the percentage of families in an unnamed country that possessed labor-saving devices together with the average time spent weekly on domestic chores over a 100-year period." You might say, "The two charts depict the ownership rates of household appliances among families in a certain country and the weekly average time allocated to domestic chores across a century." This sets the stage for your report and shows your ability to interpret the task. Next, we move to the overview. The overview is critical as it summarizes the main trends or features observed in the data. It should highlight significant changes or overall patterns without going into specific details just yet. Referring to our previous example, you could state, "Overall, there was a significant rise in the ownership of household electrical appliances between 1920 and 2019, while the amount of time spent on housework per week dropped dramatically over the same period." This gives the reader a clear understanding of the overarching narrative without delving into specifics. Now, let's discuss the details paragraphs. This is where you will accurately describe the data in detail. It's essential to be precise and use appropriate statistical language to convey the information effectively. Begin with specific figures, and compare data trends over time. Using our earlier example, you might start with, in 1920, vacuum cleaners and washing machines were owned by around 30% and 40% of households respectively, whereas refrigerators were virtually non-existent. This sentence provides a clear snapshot of the situation at that point in time. As you move through the decades represented in the line graph, ensure that you maintain a logical progression in your narrative. For instance, you can say, "Over the following decades, refrigerator ownership rose most rapidly, reaching approximately 90% by 1960 and becoming almost universal from 1980 onwards." This method of presenting data allows readers to follow the trends easily. Similarly, you can describe the growth of vacuum cleaners and washing machines by stating, "Vacuum cleaner ownership also increased steadily, climbing to nearly 100% by 2000. Washing machines showed a more moderate growth, rising to around 70% in 1960, dipping slightly in 1980, and then increasing again to roughly 75% in 2019. Here, you are not just presenting numbers, you are telling a story about how household appliances evolved over time. In contrast, when discussing the average time spent on housework, make sure to bring attention to the declining trend. You could state, "In contrast, the average time spent on housework per household dropped considerably, from 50 hours per week in 1920 to about 20 hours in 1960. This contrast emphasizes the impact that the increased ownership of appliances has had on household chores. Continuing with this trend, you can elaborate further by stating, "This downward trend continued, reaching roughly 10 hours by 2019. This kind of analysis will enhance the depth of your reporting, as you connect the increase in labor-saving devices with a decrease in the time required for domestic chores. It's essential to make these connections apparent, as they demonstrate your analytical skills to the examiner. When compiling your report, be mindful of language usage. Utilizing a range of vocabulary and sentence structures will not only make your writing more engaging but also reflect your language proficiency. Phrases such as "showed a significant increase," "experienced a gradual decline," and "maintained a steady level" can elevate the quality of your report. Moreover, using comparative language will help to highlight differences or similarities in the data. Words such as "whereas," "however," and "in contrast" are valuable for establishing connections between different sets of data. As you wrap up your writing, ensure that your report remains coherent and flows logically from one point to the next. Avoid abrupt changes in topic and strive for seamless transitions between your paragraphs. This coherence is critical not only for readability but also for demonstrating a high level of understanding of how to structure an informative text. Lastly, practice is key to mastering IELTS Writing Task 1. Familiarize yourself with various types of data presentations, including line graphs, bar charts, and pie charts. The more you practice, the more comfortable you will become in analyzing and summarizing data effectively. In conclusion, writing a successful IELTS Academic Task 1 report requires a clear understanding of its structure and the ability to present data accurately and coherently. By focusing on a strong introduction, an insightful overview, and well-organized details paragraphs, you will be well on your way to achieving a great score in this section of the IELTS exam. Remember to practice regularly, refine your writing skills, and always strive for clarity and precision in your reports.